Is the clock ticking on Berube after the Leafs suffer another brutal loss? You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leafs centered podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future to get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Network. There's lots of other stuff you can bet on. The Maple Leafs play tonight as well. We'll tee that game up in a little bit against the Philadelphia Flyers. But we got to recap what happened over the weekend, Dave. And
do we really?
We do. Because honestly, like that was like not only is that like the nail in the coffin on this, like truly the nail in the coffin on the season, but it really, really made you think like, is that almost the nail in the coffin on Craig Berube? Like the clock is ticking. The seat is red hot right now after a brutal 5-2 loss to the Ottawa Senators. And once again, Dave, just a first period where the team comes out very lackadaisical and they get absolutely jobbed with their season on the line. And now the question everyone in Leafland is asking, how much longer do you let this go on until you let go of Berube and fire the coach? That's the big question, I think, at this point. I don't think are we still going for the playoffs? Is Berube gonna get to coach out the rest of the year? That I think is right now the biggest question and topic in Leafland.
Yeah, it was something that a few people were asking me over the weekend, especially after Saturday. And like I said, like it could be one of two things. They could just let the status quo stay the same, and if this team continues to tank the way they do or the way they have been since they've come back the last 3 games.
Yeah.
That idea of them bottoming out or getting as close to that bottom 5 seems a little more realistic with the way things are going.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's possible. Right now they're 22nd in the league, and I believe that's what the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So right now they have the 11th spot. Granted, there are 3 teams below them with only 1 point fewer than the Maple Leafs, and they all have games in hand on Toronto. So if all those teams win that game in hand, Toronto would be in 25th in the NHL, which would have them in the 8th spot. So it is they're getting closer. They're getting closer. To get down to the 5th spot, however, they would have to drop to under Calgary, who has 55 points, currently 8 points back of Toronto. That one seems a little tough to get all the way that far back. But there's one thing too that I feel like no one's really talking about enough, right? Like they don't have to finish in the bottom 5 to get the pick back. They just got to finish in the bottom 10 and hope to win a draft lottery. That's at that point is still possible, right? I feel like that's not being talked about enough. And the more you lose, the closer you get. Maybe you don't finish
improving your lottery odds.
Right. And maybe you don't finish in the bottom 5, right? You don't finish in the bottom 5 where you're guaranteed to get your pick back, but maybe you bottom out, you lose games, and you end up with the 7th highest odds to win the lottery. And maybe you win one of those 2 spots, and then you get your draft pick back, right? Like that still is a possibility. So, you know, I've heard the conversation was like, well, why would the Maple Leafs want to lose, right? Like they're probably too far away to get to the 5th pick, but why would you want to keep losing and give Boston a better pick? It's like, well, you're bettering your odds of winning the lottery at the end of the day. Like,
ask the New York Islanders what odds you need to win to win the lottery. Like they were outside of the bottom 10 and still finished to win the lottery, and look how that's worked out for them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, you know, that's something too I feel like isn't being discussed enough. It's not they have to bottom out and truly finish in the bottom 5. That would just guarantee that they get to keep their pick. But the more they lose, the closer they get to the bottom, the higher their odds of winning one of 2 lottery spots, not just one, but 2 lottery spots. and they could keep their pick that way as well. So, there's some benefits to continuing to lose and drop further and further if you're hoping to win a lottery spot. Now, the way that it's worked out for the Maple Leafs over the course of their, I don't know, 60 some odd years that they haven't won a cup, it feels most likely that they finish in sixth and then, end up losing the lottery and give up that pick. That does seem to be what could possibly be a more likely scenario, just based on the crap luck for the team. But I feel like that's not being talked about enough. Like that's, I still think that the Maple Leafs, will be better off realistically, not necessarily like trading away all their pieces and like completely tanking, bottoming out. But if you lose by happenstance and you end up getting a little lower in the standings, like you've had the last week, not the end of the world, man. Like not the end of the world. But let's before we get into all that, Dave, let's break down this game against Ottawa a little bit here because I thought that it was again another game where it's just the Maple Leafs came out and just looked so uninspired. They look so uninspired, like the team just came out and had no effort, right? Just like their give a bleep meter at a complete low. And it's a battle of Ontario. It's against a team that you were tied with in the standings, like fighting neck and neck. And if you thought you still may have had some sort of playoff hopes alive, they were all completely shot dead in that game against Ottawa. Now they leapfrog you, and now the Maple Leafs are at the very bottom of the division. And it's not even that, you lost a hard-fought game. You got absolutely ragdolled by Ottawa. It's one thing to get blown out by Tampa and Florida, to get blown out by the Ottawa Senators.
In your own building.
In your own building. Yeah, like that's oof. I mean, yeah, if we don't see jerseys and waffles thrown on the ice soon, I'd be surprised. That's where we're at this point.
Yeah, it gives me those, the Salute Gate sort of. We're getting to that point now where it's like
I'm telling you, dude, and I tweeted this out in the middle of the game, like when Ottawa like stormed back and scored 3 unanswered and just completely cooked Toronto after that first period. I tweeted out and I'm like, this has Babcock and Vegas vibes. Like Babcock and Vegas vibes, that game this weekend against Ottawa. Here, so the Maple Leafs open the scoring, which they have not been doing a lot of lately because they've been getting jumped. But they open the scoring. They're up 1-0 couple minutes into the game. You're thinking, all right, maybe, they're feeling good about themselves. They're back in their home building for the first time since the Olympic break. They got their home fans. Maybe they can get something cooking tonight. They score the first goal of the game on their second shot of the game and then proceeded to get outshot 15-0 and get and Ottawa scores 3 unanswered in that stretch. Like it was just an absolutely brutal, kind of start for Toronto once they got that goal. And then Ottawa settled in and just took it to them in that first period. And, they kind of ran away with it in the second and put the nail in the coffin there in the third period. And
yeah, like to me, it's no secret of what you need to do to play against the Leafs, right? Like you've got to
try a little. Just try a little,
right?
A little.
Just you come into the zone and you whip, you cycle the puck around because the Leafs can't break a cycle. They can't break the puck out of their own zone. This game, the frustrating part too is that when they did have the puck and when they were, carrying it over the blue line, there was nothing. There was no setup plays. William Neander's trying to figure out how to dance between 3 guys to try to get on. Like they're so disjointed. They are so out of. There's just it just seems like they're free. They're just kind of freelancing right now to try to figure out what to do to generate offense because it just feels like there's no plan, no rhyme or reason to their offensive strategy. Like there is no offensive strategy. Yeah, like it's just trying to survive, and that's clearly not working either because they can't get the puck out of their net.
Yeah, I mean it's like what's the game plan here, right? Like when they get the puck, like what's the game plan, right? And I think that's where you look at it and you're like, man, like whoa, is Berube on the hot seat? Is Berube on the clock? Like, I think that, like, a game like that where you watch the team after getting crushed in Florida, you're finally coming back home. You have a chance to kind of put out the flames. Already Leaf fans were kind of pissed about the way that things happened. They were mad about, their captain going to the White House and doing all this other stuff. And they had a chance to kind of put a little bit of cold water on things. And then they get blown out by a division rival. Like, it's just, and again, you even go look at the comments post game. Like, Craig Berube literally came out and he's just like, "Hey, I can draw up the X's and O's and tell them structurally what we want them to do, but like they got to do it. Like they're the ones with the heart. They're like he said, he pointed to it, like they got this, pointed to his heart. He's like, and I can't give him this, the brain, telling him to make smart plays. Like, that was a very telling quote and comment from Craig Berube post game as to what he thought of his team and the bonehead mistakes, the turnovers, just not playing simple hockey and not showing a lot of heart out there. The pride, just the complete lack of pride, how they played, how they played since really, coming out of the Olympic break. It's like they, all these Olympians left their pride out on the ice for their countries. And, the guys who didn't go, I don't know, forgot it at home too.
It's just like, what were they doing over the 2 weeks? Just, taking it easy.
Dude, I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. And based on, we're going to get into it in a minute, based on all these like Maple Leafs rumblings, it doesn't sound like Treliving was really doing a whole lot either. Like, doesn't seem like the Maple Leafs really have any clue of what they're going to do at the deadline. Like, they're still trying to figure things out. And it's like, how? Like, you had weeks to kind of gauge the market and figure out what other teams think about your players so you could have a plan in place 2 weeks from the deadline and give yourself a bit of a runway to make the best decision possible. And it's like only now you're having those discussions and trying to figure out and getting in touch with your UFAs and your free agents and guys like Morgan Riley. It's like, how this didn't happen 3 weeks ago while everyone was in Cabo is beyond me. But yeah, it's not just on the ice, it's disjointed. It seems very disjointed off the ice as well. And the Leafs are not in a good spot, man. Organizationally, they're not in a good spot. And it just, goes from bad to worse, right? You go from getting blown out in Florida to losing to a division rival on home ice to like really seal your fate on the playoffs this season for the first time in a decade. You're not going to get your team into the postseason. I mean, just not in a good spot right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's come back and, we can kind of put a bow on things, give our thoughts on Craig Berube and maybe what his future is here. Will he make it to the end of the year? The kind of the pros and cons for that. And some Maple Leafs rumblings. There are some names being thrown out there that the Leafs are listening on, that teams are contacting the Leafs about. So we'll get to some of those rumors and reports on the other side. And, hey, there is still Maple Leafs hockey, although the playoffs seem like it's a lost cause. There's still a bunch of games to go. They still got 22 games that they have to play. One of them will be tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. So we'll tee that one up in a little bit as well. I'm Mike DiStefano with Dave Morassutti. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball's nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board, and now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever that fits your need. Mix some spreads, some totals, some player props to match how you see the slate playing out. And look at the odds around your team, see if what's going on. And then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team that you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes of the Locked On Leafs podcast, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe to the show on YouTube as well. And I got a question for the listeners. And Dave, you can answer this in just one moment here. Do you think that Mike Babcock, do you think that Craig Berube will be the head coach of this team for the remainder of the 2025-26 season? Yes or no, and why?
I think he will for the rest of the season.
Let me put it this way. So there's 22 games left in the year, right, for the Maple Leafs? Okay, I'm going to set the over-under at 22 and a half games. Craig Berube coaches the Maple Leafs. Do you understand where I'm going at there?
Yeah, I would say the over. I think he finishes. Unless it just gets to the point where they're getting embarrassed. If this streak continues for quite a while.
Well, Dave, 22 and a half brings him into next year, though. Keep that in mind.
I just think Brad Living has been adamant that Craig Berube is his guy, it's his coach, and Keith Pelly has also gone to bat that I think he should be. I don't think he should be.
The LA
Kings management is ready for that move.
The LA Kings, who are 1 point back of Toronto, just fired their head coach Jim Hiller. Right? There were fire Hiller chants going on in LA. I don't know if there were fire Berube chants at Scotiabank Arena the other night. I didn't necessarily hear any. Doesn't mean there weren't any. But if things continue to unravel this way, I do think we're pretty close to those chants starting up. Like I said, man, like that game against Ottawa really, really felt like Babcock in Vegas. And he did not last much longer after that game. I mean, as of recording this, we're doing this Sunday night. He didn't get let go on Sunday. So it's not like he woke up the next day and got fired. And I doubt they're going to wake up on a game day and make that decision. But like, if it doesn't go well over the next couple of games here and they continue to go in this tailspin, they lose to Philly and then lose to the Devils, they got the Rangers. Like, if they continue to lose here to bad teams, I don't know, man. Like, at that point, you just have to say it would feel to me like the Maple Leafs have quit on their coach, and you could argue that it feels that way already. And if the team has quit on the coach, you do kind of wonder, like, is it even worth keeping him to the end of the year at that point? Because if he's quitting the coach, you're not bringing it back next year. Like, you might be able to ride it out for the rest of the season, sure.
Yeah.
But like, why would you keep that type of toxicity on the ice and just, you know?
And look, they have a guy that can take over interim with Lalonde. Like,
right. He's been a head coach. You know, he's been a head coach clearly. So
like the Kings one is a bit different because like they bought and they added Artemi Panarin.
Well, they're still in a playoff hunt. So like the difference is there, like their season is still alive, and I get it. It's not a complete apples and oranges. But even if you take the Kings aside, you just look at what's going on in Toronto. Like, it's not pretty, man. Like, it's not pretty. Do you want to continue to let it sour? And we've already kind of, like, how much do you believe in Craig Berube as like a developmental coach, realistically? You know, like once the Blues kind of turned over that veteran core and started to try and get younger with, like, you know, Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou and like that group kind of growing to be the young bucks into the you know, that new core after they had won the cup, he kind of soured in St. Louis, and like it just didn't work out for him. And that's why ultimately he ended up getting let go, and the Maple Leafs bring him in, and, you know, he comes here. It's a very veteran team. But if all of a sudden the Maple Leafs start trading away guys and you know, 4 or 5 guys get dealt between now and the deadline, and all of a sudden there's a bit more of a youth movement, Easton Cowan gets more opportunity, you know, like Matthew Knies just got put back up on the top line, but like he was sitting on the third line for the last like
to me, that's probably like there's things that Berube does where I'm just like, Why?
Yeah.
I shouldn't be on the third line. The
No.
second line has been brutal.
Yeah, but like continues to keep,
And he
Michelli
continues
there.
it, right? Maybe you put Nylander with Matthews and you figure out a different second line.
Why isn't Jacob Quillen's tearing it up in the American Hockey League right now? And he's a guy I do expect about. Like they'll call him up once they, get rid of some bodies. They will call him up and he'll get his opportunity to play out, the next few months and maybe, earn a spot onto next year's roster. Like he's going to be one of those guys, but like, why not do it now? Like, why hasn't it been done already realistically? Because when he did get called up for those couple of games, he's looked a hell of a lot better than whatever Calle Yarncrocs doing for this team. You know what I mean? So it's like, does he want those players? And clearly what he's done with Cowan, sitting him basically for an entire month proves that he doesn't have that much trust and faith in younger players. And when his job was on the line, the season was on the line coming out of the Olympic break, he didn't trust him. He didn't play him. And, now going forward, I don't think he has a choice. I think he's going to be forced to play Cowan moving forward by higher ups, which is the right call. But just again, goes to prove it's like, I don't know if he's necessarily a developmental coach. So if you're going to have younger players, whether, you're trading for younger players as assets in acquisition from the guys you're moving on from at the deadline, or you're bringing up some prospects from the Marlies, or it's, going into next year, where you might have a bit of a younger lineup. Is that the coach that you really feel that comfortable with? And
I don't feel comfortable with him.
Then why keep him? Then why keep him? Then why not go in a bit of a different direction?
I wouldn't keep him. The thing is, I wouldn't keep him. It's just I know that Leafs management feels a way about a coach like Craig Berube.
Yeah,
like to me, you can't use a he's a winner excuse, because there's a lot of coaches who have won Stanley Cups who have also been fired multiple times since they won a Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
John Tortorella. We can go down a long list of coaches who have been kind of recycled.
Yep.
Like to me, it's got more to do with going forward next year than it does this season, because I do think look, a lot of the we're talking about the players coming back. Matthew Knies slated to come back, Austin Matthews, John Tavares. There are a lot of players on this team where you look at this and you say, Craig Berube has had his hands on these players having down years than they have up years since he's come here. Matthew Knies had a good year last year. Austin Matthews had one of his worst years. Now injuries played a bit of a factor.
Tavares had a nice bounce back year last season, so give him credit on that. Yeah, here's the thing. I will say, just to, I guess, play a little devil's advocate on the other side of the coin, this team won the division a year ago.
Yeah,
under Craig Berube. Now, you can dive into the analytics, dive into the stats, and say that they got quite lucky last season. Their team save percentage, they're the fourth best team save percentage in the league, right? Their expected goal differential was in the 40s, but they still ended up winning the division. That does not happen a lot. So, they got quite lucky with good goaltending and a strong power play at the end of the day last year, and that propelled them to first in the division. And this year, the power play was absolutely god-awful. Last place up until Christmas. It's gotten a little bit better recently, but still, bad power play. And now even the goaltending, is an 890 goaltending, this season. Far worse than I think it's down 15 points from last year. So they're giving up more goals at 5-on-5 than any other team. They're giving up the second most shots at 5-on-5 than any other team. They're a top 5 team when it comes to allowing high danger chances at 5-on-5. So not defending, they're not getting shots. And recently they haven't been scoring either. So it's like, what is this team doing that's worth keeping the coach around? Because they're not out there playing for him.
I was listening. I was listening to some people, and I think Jay Rillshill was big on it's not Berube I play with, I played under a guy like that, and it's not the coach, it's the players. And it's like it's a mixture of both. The coach is not absolved just because the team has been playing poorly. The coach is not he's not untouchable in this scenario.
Mhm.
Like, coaches have been fired for, we've seen some very surprising coaching firings
Well,
in the NHL.
yeah.
Oh.
Two things can be true, though, right? Two things can be true, right? Like, I can sit here and everything I said about Berube and what I have not liked, his lineup decisions, are true. And the fact that I worry based on his, his experience about him being a developmental coach with younger players. It just, he hasn't necessarily had a good track record of trusting those guys to play big roles. Those are legitimate concerns. But on the other hand, of course, he can't go out there and play the games and motivate the guys on the ice. Like, that's on the players to get ready and play with urgency and purpose and pride. Of course, both things can be true, though, right? But I don't think you look at it, you absolve everything Berube is doing because the players aren't playing with urgency. Like, at the end of the day, it's like you can't have both things be crappy. And the easier change, I will say, it's the easy way out, is to fire the coach. Unfortunately, now is it a long term? Is that going to change things long term? I don't know. Probably not. Clearly not. You look at Keefe; they thought that might change things. It's only gotten worse, right? Well, I guess they won division last year, made it to Game 7 of Round 2, but either way,
it didn't have the big impact that everyone thought. Oh,
no.
Now like a coach like Berube will really get this team past the playoff hump, get them playoff ready, and it didn't happen.
The word accountability was used a lot when he was brought in, and
the only one who's has been held the most accountable has been Easton Cowan. Like, if we're being honest.
Yeah, honestly, Easton Cowan and Matthew Knies. Like, those seem to be the two guys.
And to some degree, William Nylander, because we've heard Berube, going at him, right? And
but like that.
Not to the degree like we've seen other star players where they get sad and where they get benched. Like,
but like Keefe did the same thing, and like Nylander almost asks to be publicly, motivated that way, right? Like, that's a way to motivate him, not So, I don't know. I'll be curious to see, like, if this thing continues to go even more south and they continue to lose games, just so that the room doesn't spoil completely. They might have to go in a different direction just for that reason alone. But we'll see. As of now, Berube is still the guy. Maybe he will continue to be the coach through the rest of the year. But if this team finishes bottoms out and full 18-wheeler off a cliff, find it hard to believe that he'll be back next year. Very hard to believe that'll be the case. But the Maple Leafs never cease to surprise me. All right, we'll take another break. We'll come back. Let's get into some Maple Leaf trade rumblings. We've heard from a number of insiders on some trades that the Maple Leafs are kind of involved in, whether it's players that they're letting be known as available or guys who are being contacted, teams who are contacting the Maple Leafs about some potential trade offers. So we'll get to that. We'll preview tonight's Leafs and Flyers game next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part's not always so simple. That's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. You just pull up the Gametime app, pick an upcoming game or event, and you can have tickets locked in within minutes. You'll love seeing that you have the all-in price up front, no surprise fees at checkout. You can see the view from your seat right in the app before buying the tickets. And hey, great last-minute options too, with tickets showing up at solid prices. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. Brand new episodes of the Locked On Leafs podcast, free and available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and also on YouTube as well. And hey, it's time to be a member of the Everydayer Club. Find your team's join the Everydayer Club for ad-free audio, access to our group chat on Discord, and more. And hey, use the code DEADLINE ahead of the NHL trade deadline this weekend. 1 month free of our Everydayer Club. Join it now using the description, the link in the description down below in the show notes. And speaking of the NHL trade deadline, Dave, we're just a few days away. It's coming up Friday at 3 p.m. Over under 3.5 trades made by the Maple Leafs between now and 3 p.m.
I mean, if you're hearing some of the rumblings right now, they might not even make any trades because they're not getting anything by right now. Like, I think there should be at least, I can see 4 trades happening.
Yeah.
There should be at least 4 trades happening. But like, it just feels like so slow.
What's concerning you? What's concerning you, Dave? Go through it. Go through what you're hearing.
Well, Elliot Friedman came out and said he could see 2 scenarios with Bobby McMann: the trade scenario or a framework for an extension happening. And I'm just like,
have you heard the numbers of? I think it was David Pagnotta.
I think we brought those up in the last show.
Oh yeah, $5 million. No.
I don't have much hair left, man. This team better not make me pull out the little ones. Those hurt the most. Like, god damn. Like,
make it easy.
I'm
gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
Like,
I'm gonna let it go.
Oh my goodness. Bobby McMann, good. Like, he's a good contributor on this team, but he's 29 years old.
Yeah.
He's hit his ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't see another gear he's going to take for this team.
And look, he's not a top line guy. Like, that's the thing. Like, even for the Maple Leafs, he's being miscast on the top line.
He wasn't even a top 6 guy. Like, he was a top 6 guy because they were trying him out there, which I think second line, you can live with Bobby McMann.
I would consider him a middle 6 player. I think he's a middle 6 player who's got a little bit of, who's got great speed and can provide you some secondary scoring. Like, that's what Bob McMann is now, and he's got good size. Those are coveted players in the NHL, and his contract is coveted as well. Like, the guy's making next to nothing, and the Maple Leafs can retain it and quite literally make that contract, make the AAV to cap be below league minimum by retaining half of that contract. So that in itself is very valuable because there's not a lot of players out there with his skill set and the impact that he could make that cost that little. So that in itself does add some value. But yeah, I think the Maple Leafs are at a point where there's absolutely no reason to extend him and not get an asset for Bob McMann. Like, there's just not at this point. And like, again, he's going to be 30 next year. We do sign him to a 5x5 contract and hope that it ages well. Like, hey, I'm sorry, Bob McMahon's not Zach Hyman. If you think he is and you're worried about him becoming Zach Hyman, sorry to tell you, he's not that guy. So I would not be worried about.
There isn't another. He ain't gonna go and play on Connor McDavid's. Oh, actually, he could go play with the Oilers. The way things are going right now, but. You know what? Let the Edmonton Oilers pay him all this money. Actually, no, the Edmonton Oilers can't pay him all this money because Trent Frederick is eating up a good amount of that cap.
Let's go to like Seattle or maybe Pittsburgh. Hey, Dubas loved Bob McMann back in the day. He might go back to Pitt possibly. That might be a landing spot. I mean, Pittsburgh. Hey, credit to them. Like, they're still kind of in this thing. They had a shutout.
Them and the Islanders heard me say that. I don't think they can be in the playoffs. And it's like, okay.
And they're like, stuff it, Dave. Stuff it.
Like, paper, man.
Yeah, man. Another shutout tonight.
Canada, right?
Yeah.
20 goals, man.
Like, that's a good landing spot for Bob McMann, isn't it? Like, Dubas, go get
dangle that carrot.
I would for sure. I don't know if they love, maybe what Rutger McGroarty's doing over there. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know, but like, maybe you bring in a guy like that potentially. But anyway, they've got a bunch of picks too that they've stockpiled over the last couple of years there with
I'll do is
the
just like
trade that they've done.
He's feeling uneasy. He's like, I need to trade these picks. I can't.
Exactly. But anyways, like like Bob McMahon should not be a Maple Leaf after the deadline. Like,
No.
I think Bob McMahon, like look, I like McMahon as a player. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to them going, maybe getting back into the McMahon sweepstakes on July 1st, but get the asset you can, you know, like whether it's a late.
That was going to be my next question. Does it have to be a first round pick? Because everyone I talked, they got to get a first for Bobby McMahon. It's like they don't necessarily need to get.
No, doesn't have to be. But like, would you do McMahon for a second straight up?
I would.
Well, here's what you know what though, like at the end of the day, it kind of matters what he wants. Because if you're not going to re-sign him in the summer, then yeah.
Because then I'd rather get a second round pick than get nothing. Because the Leafs have actually done one thing quite well is pick in the second round.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And Matthew Knies are the two recent ones where you can say, you know what,
Nick Robertson, like he's not a stud, but like, hey, he's turned into an everyday NHLer. Second round.
Better than what a lot of other picks they've done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's interesting too, because I look at Pittsburgh and all the picks they got.
Yeah.
Not only do they have their second round pick in 2026, they also have the Jets second round pick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that pick. That would be an early,
probably a top 40 pick.
Yeah. Like, again, you don't like. I understand the first round is always viewed as the
but it's like but like picks 20 to 50, it's very close.
Exactly.
Very close.
You got a new guy. You got a new guy in here who's looking after the draft. Dallas was the king of late
picks,
late and second round picks. So you go and you see guys. Wyatt Johnson, we talk about.
Yeah.
Go look when he was picked.
Yeah.
Right.
J-Rob was picked later in the draft.
Unger was picked late in the draft.
Well, first round, but like a little later in the draft. Right.
But 23rd overall, by the way, for Wyatt Johnson. Which first round pick, I get that, but it wasn't.
It's a late pick, right? Like it's a playoff team at least. But that's what you're gonna get. Like if you're getting a first round pick for McMahon, like that's what's going to be. It's not going to be a lottery selection anyway. No. So Bobby McMahon, it's 50-50 on him right now. Our stance is like trade him. And there's going to be, I believe there will be an offer of at least a second round pick on the table for Bob McMahon. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a second, a third, a second and like a decent prospect or a younger player. Maybe it's McMahon for like a prospect who needs a change of scenery type of deal. Or it's, McMahon, I don't know, and something else for a first rounder, whatever it may be. I would think take the best offer on a guy like Bob McMahon. Take the best offer on a guy like Scott Laughton, who's been linked apparently. I think Colorado was a team that I've heard. Yeah. So
my thing, what has changed me on Scott Laughton is if this team is going to continue to use him as a fourth liner, ship him out. Yeah. Do him a favor, because if I'm Scott Laughton right now, the more you play with the Leafs, the more your off-season value, your free agent value plummets.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting showcased either. And this is the part that kills me with this. Okay, your team is clearly going to be going into sell mode. Put Scott Laughton higher in the lineup to showcase that he can play higher in the lineup.
Yeah.
Because if you show he can play higher in the lineup, you get a better offer for him because the team's going to be like, he's your fourth line center. We're not going to give you anything for that.
Yeah. Well,
asset management.
He was
poor asset management.
He was a bottom six player in Philly's lineup and still managed to get a first round pick out of him. So
that also had to do with retention as well.
I get it. More, term retention. There was a lot that went into it. And then the other player that I guess is being kind of linked to another team is Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who's not a pending UFA. The Maple Leafs don't have to trade him. They don't have to make that decision now because he does have another year left on his deal. But if there's a good offer on the table for OEL, again, pull the trigger. Like there's no reason to keep Oliver Ekman-Larsson around here for one more year. if you can get better, if you can get younger, if you can get faster, and or stockpile of pick prospects, whatever it is. And apparently Edmonton is in the market for a right side defenseman. So OEL is not a right shot defenseman.
And it doesn't have to be a right shot defenseman.
Right.
Someone who is capable of playing the right side, which we know
OEL has
and can do.
Yes, exactly. So, and he's the cheaper option than I think Justin Falk was another player that Edmonton is rumored to be interested in, but the money isn't as easy for them to make that swap. For OEL, a little bit easier, and to make the money work too. So Edmonton put Andrew Mangiapane down on waivers. If I'm the Maple Leafs, like, just because they're not cap strapped, like if they need to throw Mangiapane into a deal to make any amount of trade work, a deal work for cap reasons, I mean, I would harvest another asset for it and take that contract on if I'm Toronto, and use him and hope that he can bounce back in some way, right? So you can, OEL for Mangiapane and first round pick, and I don't know, another little prospect, little sweetener as part of it too. Like, why not? Why not?
With the way Edmonton season has gone, they like, they're not in a position to say, okay, we're gonna punt it too. They can't,
dude. I can't fathom the fact that I keep hearing that the Edmonton Oilers are done at the goaltending position, that they made their move in net and are rolling with Tristan Jarry, and that guy has been horrendous since he got there. He's got like an 860 save percentage in Edmonton, and they're just going to roll with that the rest of the way and not realize, okay, we made a mistake. Jarry's not any better than Stu Skinner. We still need to make a move in goal, and I guess they're just not. And that would be...
And they're like, don't worry, Connor Ingham's going to save the day, and then he gets shelled by the Sharks.
Yeah, like, just... hey, Stolars and OEL. Take them both. Stolars and OEL, we could probably put together a decent little package.
Yeah, that guy named Connor McDavid.
Yeah. You know what? We'll just take Draisaitl. Just take Draisaitl off there.
We'll fix your goaltending problem. Don't worry.
Let's get Zach Hyman back in the fold. There we go. That's the move. That's the trade right there.
But if we're being honestly though, if I'm Edmonton, I've heard they want OEL, but they're not wanting to throw a first round pick into it. It's just like what's a first round pick doing for you right now? It ain't, because Connor McDavid only gave you 2 years right now.
Well, I believe it's a 2027. They don't have their first this year, so it'd be next year's first round pick. So, I mean, yeah, if you're Edmonton, you kind of have to go for it and make those moves. Thing is, do you want it? Could you do better than OEL? I guess is the question, realistically, and that's something that I'm sure Edmonton's weighing is, can we do better than this? There was a report out there that Adam Fox could possibly be available from the Rangers. If that's the case, I would seriously consider Adam Fox if I were Edmonton over Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Yes. Now it's going to cost exponentially more, of course, but that's something that I would entertain first. So, we can always, as a Maple Leaf fan and as guys that cover the Leafs, throw out all these, hey, OEL for a first makes sense. Edmonton needs him. That trade's going to happen. Yeah, Edmonton needs OEL, but OEL's not the best defenseman on the market. There are plenty of other guys that Edmonton could use their first round pick.
Ristolainen's out there too.
Yeah,
he's not bad. He can probably help him.
I'd rather OEL over Ristolainen.
Yeah,
contract wise too. Risto's got
contract wise, yes.
Yeah, I would say that.
That's probably hey, your boy Connor Murphy.
Yeah,
he might be out there again.
He probably will be, and as they should realistically pick up something for Connor Murphy. Then the last kind of thing is after the loss to Ottawa, I guess the Maple Leafs starting to rethink their deadline plans and are starting to be open to possibly trading guys with term. So that OEL enters the chat there, but as does Max Domi would be a player, I guess that would fall under that criteria. Brandon Carlo would follow under that criteria. maybe a McCabe, maybe a Benoit, Morgan Riley hopefully falls under that criteria. And plenty of other guys like a Steven Lorentz. Like if someone offered me a 3rd round pick for Stevie Lorentz, even a 4th round pick for Steven Lorentz, I'd probably take it, right? Probably take it and then fill his spot with, a younger player who can help next season, or just give him some sort of, a tryout in the NHL and be like, all right, let's see what you got, like a Jacob Quillen. So we'll see what the Leafs got in store for us over the next few days. We'll obviously try to keep everyone as up to date as possible. Lots of moving parts on deadline week, but any moves come down, hey, keep an eye out for those YouTube shorts. We'll have some breaking news blurbs if a trade does come out. And obviously, each and every day between now and the deadline, we got brand new episodes of the podcast coming out too to dive into the latest we're hearing, the latest moves that get made. So make sure you're subscribed to the show. Game tonight, Dave. Leafs Flyers. You excited? Leafs have won 9 of the last 10 meetings against Philly. Do we want them to lose now? Is that it? Or what's the official position of the Lockdown Leafs podcast? Are we team tank? Like just lose as many?
Winning does nothing for this team right now.
So you're not worried about possibly giving Boston a better draft pick? That doesn't matter to you? Dignified tank type deal?
I just don't know if they have it in them to win now. Like, I would like it if they didn't give Boston a good pick. I just don't know if it's possible at this point.
I mean, yeah, they should beat Philly. They should beat Philly.
They should, and they were in Florida always played some tough. But they should beat Philly, and they have beat Philly.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, we'll see.
Like, I won't be upset if they beat Philly. Like I'm not going to be that, but I'm like, I don't see how winning also is.
Watch them rattle off 3 straight games here ahead of the deadline. Watch the Leafs do it, right? Just go ahead, win tonight, win in New Jersey, win in New York. Like, how much you want to bet that the Leafs win 3 straight heading into the deadline?
Mm-hmm.
It would just be so Leafy.
Yeah,
so Leafy of them. Just like when they were heading into the Olympic break. Everyone lost hope when they lost the game to Buffalo and then the game to the Kraken. It's like, okay, it's over. And they round off 3 straight wins. Like, okay, maybe they're still alive. And then they lose 3 in a row coming out of the Olympic break. And it's like, never mind. They're dead. But if they win 3 more, people are going to get back on board. Not us, though, Dave. Not us. We have officially taken the position of team tank. Season's over. Start trading guys. Put up the for sale sign and start looking ahead to next season. That's what the rest of the year is all about. It's not about winning games this year. It's not about trying to go compete for a playoff spot or trying to it's not really even about, I guess, trying to strive for a bottom 5 pick. It's all right, what can we do to put us in a position to make us better next season? That's what the goal needs to be the rest of the year. All right, that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank everyone for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Lockdown Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the game tonight. Go Leafs, go. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.